Hello everybody, Jim here. Welcome back. How have you been? I know it's been a little while since I've done one of these conversational style videos, but I did post in several places that I was going to be doing a series of Q&A style videos, so people could, an AMA, if you will. People could ask me whatever they wanted, and I posted that on Patreon, here on YouTube, and on my Facebook page, and I got a whole lot of questions. So some of them, actually, I think, a nice full video like this is required. Maybe some of them I'll compile into a video where I answer a number of questions, but today, because I say today, because usually when I record these, I'm doing so at night, usually after work, sitting here having some beer and, talking to my microphone. But today, I have the day off, and it's actually morning, oddly enough. I actually woke up in the morning. Can you believe it? So instead of beer, I'm sipping my coffee. Some delicious, what the hell kind of brand is this? I don't know, something or other gold, blah, blah, blah. Delicious. They're always something gold, aren't they? Rich blend and blah blah blah. Lots of ways to describe your coffee. And yeah, it's morning, and if there's some background noise, you'll have to forgive me, because I live on the 4th floor of my building, but down on the 1st floor is actually occupied by like a daycare center. And so as kids come and go, I mean, yeah, I'm up on the 4th floor in my apartment, but sometimes little cheering, they can be loud, can't they? So sometimes I wake up in the morning to the sounds of screaming kids outside. I'm like, what the hell? It's, but hey, it's who needs an alarm clock when you have little kids out in the street screaming at the top of their lungs? Anyway, I think I rambled on, wasted enough time, haven't I? Today's question comes from Danny Peretz on Patreon, and he asked, I guess in a roundabout way, do I intend to stay in Japan forever, or do I have intentions of leaving at some point? And that's an interesting question. It's not something I think about typically, because I'm the kind of person that, like, I'll make sort of like short-term plans, maybe for like next week or possibly next month. And a lot of my time is just like day to day, like wake up and okay, what am I gonna do today? I'm not usually the type of person that really plans for the future. So when he asked that question, it was kind of like, huh, wow, let me think about that. Am I gonna be here forever, like the rest of my life, or what could the other possibilities be? So I'm gonna go ahead, because I'm thinking of it as we speak. Like, I didn't really think too hard. I just kind of turned on the microphone, and here we go. So this might get a little rambly. It might go off in some little time-wasty spaces. So I hope everybody's cool with that. But yeah, staying in Japan forever. That's I mean, initially I didn't have any, I mean, I would have liked to have come to Japan, but it wasn't like one of those things where it was like, it was this plan I made to come here, as some people do. Like, some people, like, I have friends that live here now that have been here for a long time, and, when they were in college, they were studying Japanese with the intention of working for a Japanese company, or particularly working for a gaming company, and it was always sort of their plan to relocate to Japan at some point. For whatever reason, their obsession with games or pop culture or something like that. So it was something that they had their hearts set on. Not me, though. Like, even though, like, I did grow up with video games and anime and stuff, it wasn't like I had this big plan to, move to Japan and live here. It just kind of happened sort of by luck while I was still in the Air Force. And they were like, hey, you got an assignment, you're going to Japan. I was like, oh, cool. And then that was like 12 years ago almost. So since then, it's just been sort of like I got here and got comfortable. And then, I think I've discussed all this in the past. Like, I had a long-term girlfriend, and I wanted to do something else with my life. My military contract was about to expire. So I was like, yeah, let's go back to Japan. Let's finish school and get married and have kids and have a family and all that stuff. And I finished school, but just like the family and kids didn't come. And I didn't really know what else to do with myself. I was having, a pretty great time, making friends, and just really enjoying living in Tokyo, because that's again, I always have to preface this kind of stuff. It's like, my experience of Japan is largely just Tokyo, and Tokyo is not the same thing as the rest of Japan. It's not the same thing as living in Sendai, or living further south, or, you know, up in Hokkaido or somewhere. It's not the same as being in Okinawa. Tokyo is Tokyo, and so like I've taken to Tokyo like a duck to water, I guess. So it's a place that it didn't really have to grow on me. Like I immediately thought it was awesome. So I was like, oh man, I could stay here for a while. And again, it's been like 12 years. So I'm wondering to myself, like, that question, like, if I'm going to stay forever. So I have to think about what the alternatives might be. And so I have to, like, wonder, like, okay, if I wasn't here, like, if I left, like, if I made a plan to leave in, like, 3 months, I'm like, all right, maybe 3 months, things, you know, travel is opening up a little more or whatever, then I'll get out of here. Where will I go? And it's one of those things where, like, the prospect of going somewhere, like, totally, like, brand new, like, you know, some new city and setting up stakes, it would be, like, I think I'd have to go back to the U.S. I don't know. I wouldn't want to go to, like, you know, another country where, like, I don't speak the language, and, okay, let's try starting over again and learning a new language and everything. So I'd probably have to go back to the U.S., the country of my origins, my birthplace, and like, where would I go? So starting fresh in a city, because I don't know, I grew up in a small town in southern Louisiana, population of around 10,000 people, I guess. But again, living in the world's biggest, most densely populated city for like a decade, it's kind of changed how I live, I guess, and sort of my outlook on life. So I'm now a city dweller. I'm your common city scum. So it would be a little difficult maybe for me to go back to living in the country, or maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe I'd find it refreshing. I should probably take a trip out to the country here in Japan and just see how I get along with that, and then maybe that can inspire me. Maybe I can get out of the city someday, because as you get older, maybe that's something you want, right? But right now, I feel like I would want to go to, like, a city, and I'm trying to think of, like, major American cities where, like, I would want to go and live. And like, first of all, like, starting over is hard, right? So even if, like, okay, I've got a job set up and I've got everything set up and now I can relocate to this city, well, you still have to, like, get acclimated to a whole new city and find a whole new, like, circle of friends and all that kind of stuff, and that's just kind of, like, daunting. And as I get older, which I'm not, like, old, I mean, you know, in my mid-30s, but as I get older, like, I don't want to do that shit again. Like, who really wants to go through all that again? And then also, I don't know, like, getting accustomed to, like, how Tokyo runs, like, how it's, like, it's a very efficient city, it's a very clean city, it's very safe, like, crime rates are low. I usually don't ever have to worry about anything like that, unless I go to, like, specific areas of town, which I sometimes do. But for the most part, I know I'm good, and, you know, crime statistics in major US cities don't look as nice as they do in Tokyo, so I'm like, where the hell would I go? So I don't know, there's not really, like, a city in the US that's, like, really attractive to me right now. The other option would obviously be to just go home. Just be like, alright, I had a good run. Be kind of like Forrest Gump when he's been running for however long. He's all haggard, he's got, like, a giant beard, and he's like, I'm kind of tired. Guess I'll go home now. Like, sometimes I kind of feel like that. I'm like, you know what, I'm really tired. It's been, let's see, 14 years. I guess I can go home now. But then again, I'm wondering what I would do. I mean, obviously, if I went home, that's where my family is and all my old friends and stuff. So I could probably, you know, just get right back into things, be, you know, happy enough with my family and my friends around me. But, like, what would I do with myself? Because right now, you know, what I spend all my time on here in Japan is my day job, which is teaching, which I at first was really rocky. Like, I had no desire to be a teacher. I wanted to work in media. I had been interning at this... Oh, shit. Hang on, folks. There's the doorbell. Alright, I'll throw in a little jump cut there. You ever order something from Amazon and then you forgot you ordered something from Amazon, and then you sat down to your desk to try to make a YouTube video, and then Here comes the delivery man. But that's cool. He dropped off some cool stuff. I forgot I ordered like some pen mics and things like that. Punching up the production quality around here a little bit. Won't that be nice? Anyway, where the hell was I? Lost my place. Let me get this coffee. Maybe the coffee will help me remember what the hell I was saying. Okay. Yeah, all the stuff I got going on here. Okay. Yeah, I had no desire to be a teacher. I wanted to work in media. I was studying communications. I was interning at a production company, and I was really enjoying like the prospect of like doing that kind of work. It felt like a good fit for me, but it just didn't work out. So teaching was kind of like a backup plan. So it wasn't something I really wanted to do, but it's something that I've been doing. We're coming up on 3 years now that I've been teaching, and I've actually taken a shine to it. I've gotten better at it, which you would expect after, you know, 3 years of doing it, but it's like one of those things where like I never really liked kids so much. And after working with them for a few years, I actually like kids now. So I'm enjoying my work. So I wouldn't necessarily like want to stop if I didn't really have to. And then the other thing that I dedicate a significant portion of my time to is YouTube, which is something I started as a hobby, and now it actually is something that's sort of consumed a larger portion of my life, and it's something that's actually made me like a little bit of money. And then another sort of like big chunk of my time goes to my Patreon, because I'm constantly like, whenever I do have free time on the days that I don't have to work, I go out as much as I can to try to get games and consoles and whatever else I can for people. And then I'm packaging that stuff up and shipping it out all over the world. And again, like, that's a lot of work, but it makes me a little bit of money. Not like, you know, a king's ransom, but it's doing okay. Like, those three things combined, my day job, my Patreon, and my YouTube, I'm actually making what I would say is a comfortable enough living right now. It keeps me working like constantly. But that's okay, because at this age, that's what you're supposed to be doing, right? Somebody gave me that advice once. Yeah, when you're in your, you know, your mid-30s, that's kind of like the time of your life where you're just going to be working. So that's fine. But the point is that I have all these things that really keep me like anchored and attached here. Like, if I moved back to my little town back in Louisiana, like, I'm not sure what my video content would be. Like, I could keep making videos. I could do stuff like this. I could just sit and talk, or I guess live stream video games, but that's not really kind of the thing I have a passion for when it comes to making my videos. What I really like to do is to go out and shoot interesting things out there, like my game hunts. But, you know, if you watched enough of them, you know, I like to try to tie in a little something where I show the area of the city I'm in, or if I go to some town off in Saitama or Chiba, maybe a little bit about the town or something like that, and some footage of just the local area. And that's the kind of stuff that I have fun with, because it's, you know, I like to convey the experiences that I'm having. And that's something I couldn't do if I just went home. So I don't know, like, if there comes a day where I'm like, you know what, I don't want to make YouTube videos anymore, and I don't want to teach anymore, and I don't want to do any of this stuff with video games anymore. I mean, and I lose all of my attachments to Japan, I guess, then maybe I would consider just like leaving, going home, and having a, you know, because that's one thing is like, where, like, if I were to go home, I'd probably go around near where my parents live. And then right close to there is, like, there's a military base and there's other stuff. And, you know, like, as a military veteran, it would probably be pretty easy for me to get a job there or something like that. But it's, I don't know, again, that's just one of those things where, like, that's not what I really wanted to do. Like, again, like, my whole thing that I wanted was to, like, work in media. And since that didn't work out, it's almost like YouTube is, like, the next best thing. I kind of feel, I wonder if that's not the case for, like, a lot of people who do really well with YouTube. If they didn't have aspirations to work in television or some other form of media, and it just didn't work out, or maybe the barrier to entry was too high, and so they're like, hey, what the hell, I've got talent, I'll just try my hand at YouTube. I wonder if that's the case. But when I think about forever, I would really, because again, like, when I came back out here after the military, it was because I had a long-term girlfriend, a fiance even, that the intention was to get married and start a family and all that kind of stuff, and it just didn't work out. And since then, I've just been so consumed with like work and other things that like dating life has been kind of like my last girlfriend, we were together for like a year and a half, and you know, we broke it off kind of under like friendly enough terms, I guess, in you know, last year sometime, you know, a few months ago. And it's one of those things where it's like you get, you know, wrapped up with all the work you're doing. You don't make enough time for like that kind of thing. But when I really think about it, I would like to have like a wife and kids and stuff, have a family. And that's one thing, like, that's something I could see keeping me here forever, or, you know, till the day I die at least, is starting a family, which is something I'd still like to do. It's just, it's one of those things. Again, I think a lot of people can relate when you're at that phase in your life where you're working constantly. Like some people, the whole marriage and kids things, you know, it comes really early for them. Like when they're in their like early 20s, they immediately were like, yes, I want to have a wife and kids or what have you, and that happens for them right away. And then some people, they just sort of, like me, some people get distracted by other things. What things? I don't know. What could possibly distract a man in his 20s/30s living in a giant city? I don't know. Let's see. There's the booze, there's the women, there's the copious amounts of video games, and then there's just all this work that needs to be done. And those things will distract you from that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm still like, again, it's one of those things where it's like you don't want to have to move to a new town, but then when you break up with like a long time partner, it's like another one of those things where it's like, shit, now I get to start all over again. This sucks. But that's something that could keep me here forever, is, you know, having a family. That would be nice. But odds are, I mean, this is, you know, turned into a really long-winded way to answer this question, but odds are, I mean, I probably will stay here for the foreseeable future, indefinitely, unless they decide to like deport me, which I hope never happens. Like, I have a job, I have a visa, I have all that stuff. I've never committed a crime or anything. So hopefully they don't have any kind of inclination to, like, deport me, because that would really suck for me right now. But, like, for the foreseeable future, I don't know where else I would go or what else I would do. I'm kind of really entrenched here and now in what I'm doing. But like I said, I usually don't plan that far ahead. But one of the things that could keep me here for the rest of my life would be to have a family. On the other hand, if the day ever came where I just got way too tired to deal with all this stuff, because as fun as it can be in Tokyo, you still are living in a big-ass city. It still can kind of get exhausting for you, the day-to-day grind and all that, and just working constantly. Eventually, it can wear you down. And if I ever get to that point where I'm like, all right, I've had enough of this, maybe I will just go home and find, like, maybe a nice little comfortable job. I mean, housing is a lot cheaper where I'm from. For the amount of money I'm paying for the apartment I'm in right now, I could probably just be paying notes on a house. So that would be nice. So yeah, if that day ever comes where I'm just too tired, life in the big city got me down, yeah, I might just pack it in. I'm kind of tired, I guess I'll go home now. I just might do that. But for the foreseeable future, this is where I am. I'm going to continue to work, try to become a better teacher. I'm going to continue to work on YouTube videos and try to make those better, more entertaining and informative for everyone, so I hope everybody enjoys them. And I'll continue to, as long as I can, this little thing I got going of buying and shipping out games to happy gamers all over the world, North America, Europe, other parts of Asia. Yeah, so as long as my bones hold out, I'll keep going. As for how long that is, who knows? But I mean, you could answer that question for me. Wherever you are right now, are you going to be there forever? How do you feel about that? It's hard to think about stuff like that, right? Like, whoever thinks about forever, I mean, it's probably easier when you're like really old, because forever could be like, I don't know, the next week or two. So it's probably it's kind of morbid, I'm sorry. But it's a little more, I mean, you never know how much time you have left, but when you're in your mid-30s, you can kind of assume you have another at least few decades left, and it's really hard to think that far ahead, or at least it is for me. I don't know. Again, for me, usually as far ahead as I think is like next week or next month. It usually does not go far beyond that. So forever, I don't know. Who can really say? But for the foreseeable future, which for right now might as well count for forever, because it's unpredictable. We just don't know. Anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. I know this stuff goes on for quite a while. I sit down with the question, but no real answer, and I kind of just try to find the answer as I ramble on. One of the only things I've ever been kind of good at is just talking at length about nothing. Nothing at all. Coffee, please. The coffee kind of does it, you know. Helps me along, gives me the fuel. Anyway, let's see. I think the last time I did one of these, I gave like a code word just to see who actually sits to the end of these things. Let's see. Something I have here on the desk with me. Scissors. I've got a pair of scissors with me. They've got glue all over them because I'm constantly cutting that really thick tape you tape up boxes with. So they've got dried glue on them. So, scissors is today's secret word. So if you actually made it to the end of the video, put scissors in the comments, I guess, if you want to. You don't have to. And yeah, let me know wherever you are. Do you plan to stay there forever, or are you the kind of nomadic type? I'd like to know. And again, I posted this for Q&A on the Patreon. I made a YouTube post, Facebook. I have a whole bunch more that I'm going to be answering coming up in the very near future. A whole series of question and answer. But if you've got a question, any question at all, you can feel free to post it in the comments as well. Just let me know what you think, and I'll do my best to get to all of them, or at least the very good ones. Or even the mediocre ones. I mean, why not? It's all content, right? Again, thanks everybody for watching, listening, liking, subscribing, blah, blah, blah. You know what we say at the end of these videos. And until next time, take care, everybody. Goodbye.